Okay guys, so before we swap out the harnesses in the YXZ, I just kind of wanted to show what these harnesses, or the stock, I guess, factory belts actually look like. And really they just put in a seat belt. It's an actual seat belt. So not feeling like that's going to be the safest thing to hold us in, you know, should it actually ever roll over, which, you know, you never know, it could. So we're gonna install the new harnesses and get rid of these old seat belts. And I guess there's a sensor you have to disable for the seat belt, because the driver, it won't actually start unless the driver's seat belt is clipped in. So you have to disable that before you can actually drive around anywhere with the new harnesses, because it won't start without that. All right, so just a quick picture of why these seem a little bit inadequate for a rollover. Okay guys, so we just got the last package here for our new Dragonfire harness setup. I'm just going to kind of open these and briefly go over them. These we'll show it after we put it on, and you know where it goes, where it's located. So yeah, that's the flat brackets. Those were from PCP. So we got this kit. Again, this is from Dragonfire. Pieces here. We're doing this because, again, the YXZ comes with factory standard seat belts, which just don't seem like they would be very safe. So we've got some belt holders there, hardware, bolts. These are those clamps, I think, that go in these two pieces here. So anyways, here's these really nice brackets. So we're going to put these on. They even give you instructions, driver's side. It's nice. So those kind of go there. Those obviously are going to go there. They're going to go around all the bars. And then let's get down here to the harness portion of the show and tell. So looks like it's got, these are the straps that come up the front. It's got this that comes together right in the middle of your chest, and then it's got these adjustable straps here on the side, which are really nice. You can snug your shoulders down nice and tight so you don't bounce up out of the seat. I noticed the first ride that we took, I was doing a little bit of bouncing, and it was a little rough on some of the bigger jump type situations. And it's got, for the strap where you buckle yourself in, it's kind of cool. It took me a minute to figure it out, but you actually lift. I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna try and figure this out again. How did I do that before? Oh yeah, it snaps up. It's just kind of hard to snap, which I like. It's got this really cool little hooking mechanism on there. So, and it's got this nice piece of leather here so you don't get pinched by the buckle or anything. So you slide that in there, slide the buckle in there, and then it hooks and then snaps and then Velcros as well. So you're definitely not coming out of this unless it's on purpose. And it looks like it's made really well. We got the black color. It comes in a bunch of different colors. It says it comes in black, blue, gray, red, orange, pink, and yellow. We got two, obviously, one for each side. They are a 2-inch strap, and it's got the nice cushions on here, you know, for your shoulders. It's not cutting into your shoulders. And they give you more instructions on how to put them in there and what the correct angles should be and where they should be measured to. So it shows you all the hardware down here and how to take them off and come back on. Shows you how they go on there. So we're going to attempt to install these, and we'll see how it goes. We'll give you guys an installation video. They look pretty nice. On here it says #1 in UTV safety, so I'm pretty confident we'll be safe with them at least. And yeah, so I guess they come in 3-inch wide as well if you want a wider one, but I think we were satisfied with the 2-inch. I think that'll hold this thing pretty well. So, all right. So next video should be us installing these bad boys in the Yxz1000. Okay, so we are starting to install the new Dragonfire harnesses that we got for the Yxz1000. The first thing we have to do is actually get out the seats that are in there right now, and I'm still kind of looking at how to do that. I know that on this side, I'm on the passenger side right now, you can just lift up on the bottom part of the seat and it just lifts right out. And then underneath that, there are 4 bolts. You can see I've taken out one here and here. I'm working on these 2. They're pretty tight. And then, I mean, Yamaha's nice enough to give you this little, it's kind of cool, little tire gauge, check your tires. And then they've got a little toolkit in here, a couple of wrenches and a, what is it, the thing to, like for your lug nuts on your tires. And then it's also got a, I'm not sure, it's a Phillips head screwdriver in there. So a couple of little tools in there just in case you're out and you have like a little emergency, you need to change something out, then that's in there. So what I'm trying to do right now is just get the rest of the frame of the seat out. So I'm going to take out these bolts and go from there. Here it comes. Okay, one seat down. No, really, honey, just stand there. It's fine. Okay, so after I remove those 4 bolts that I showed you guys down here, it's pretty easy, those 4 bolts, it just popped right out. So there's nothing that holds the back in to the Yxz, it's just the 4 bolts on the bottom. So the next step I just found out is to actually remove the plastics down here on the bottom, because in order to get to where this seat belt is, the latch is attached over here. And in order to put on the extender, you have to put down here, you have to take this part out. And you also have to be able to access down here where this is, so that you can bolt the other factory, or the other tab from Dragonfire that's on the end of the harness. You have to be able to get to that bolt down in there too. So this plastic has to come out, which means the console has to come out and the air intake cover has to come off. So I'm going to take those off. You can see these are just little plastic things, you know, little attachments you take off with your flathead screwdriver. So get those off. These little rubber pieces, if I can get this to focus a little bit better, these just pop right out. So leaving those up there with the bolts, take it off. But anyway, so that should come out. I'm not sure yet if I have to unbolt these or not, but I will let you know if I had to take those out. Okay, so a little bit more has happened since my last shot here. So I discovered that I actually have to take off this panel here. Not only the air intake cover, the console cover, you have to unbolt a couple of the clips right up here. You can see underneath the edge right there, those little holes there. Those both hold on this panel. There's a bolt up here that holds it on. So you have to take out a few bolts. And then those are with a 10 millimeter. I forgot to mention that down here, the bolts that hold in the seat are actually 12 millimeter, but the rest of them seem to be an 8. So I've had to do that. And then I had to pull off the side panel here. It goes from the front of the seat around the side. You actually have to take out a bolt here and a bolt up here to get this loosened up so you can get that panel off. You have to take off the gas tank lid, or the, you know, this here. You have to pull that off, otherwise you won't be able to get that other piece off. And now I think I can finally get this out after I unbolt the seat belt. All right, so I'm gonna get the seat belt off now. Okay, yeah, so to get this last bolt out here, it's a 17 millimeter. This unbolts. The seat belt goes through the plastic, and we can take this piece of plastic out now. Finally got that out. Okay, sorry, finger in the video shot there. Okay, so we got that out. We're looking at the gas tank here. Conveniently located right underneath the passenger seat. Nice. Okay. So, yep, got all that out, and I'm going to finish taking out the stock seat belt here, and then start figuring out where to line up that template. I think it goes right here through this center hole. You have to take this little brad thing out too, right here in the center of the back seat. You pop that out, and then your template lines up with that hole, and you drill 2 holes above it. So we'll see that in the next step here. Okay, so I almost actually forgot about this part in my hurry to get this done. But so I've got this part that needs to still be taken off, and you can't actually get a socket, or I couldn't get a socket down in here, so I just had to grab a little wrench and loosen this up because it's a pretty tight spot down there. So it's a 17 also. Makes sense because the other side of the seat belt's a 17. So just going to be taking that out really quick and move over to the driver's side, pull that side apart, and then I can start installing the harness. Okay, so we also have the upper part of the seat belt here to take off, and it's actually a giant Allen head. It's an 8mm Allen. Okay, so for this guy up here, that 8mm Allen, on the other side, I showed you guys I was trying to take that out, and the ratchet I had was never going to do it. So I went and got, we nicknamed our breaker bar Bruno. So I went and got Bruno here, and we put our 5/24" breaker bar. Ace Hardware. Yeah. So we put our breaker bar in there with the 8mm on it, and it broke free pretty easy. But they have those in there kind of tight, so I would have probably broke the ratchet if I had tried to use it with the breaker bar. So that's for that guy there. We're gonna finish taking that off, and then I'll finish pulling apart the driver's side, and hopefully we can get started on installing. Okay, so I actually found another bolt that's kind of hard to get to. You have to remove the mechanism back here that pulls the seatbelt back up. So there's a bolt down here that I actually had to get at from the outside here. I don't know if you can see in there, it's kind of hard, but the bolt's right in there, and I had to use a breaker bar on it first. It was pretty tight, and now I've got my ratchet in there, but I didn't want to take the plastic off. I might have to eventually anyways, but I'm just getting it from the outside. And then there's another one up here I'm not sure how I'm gonna get to. It's right there. It looks kind of difficult. It's actually, let's see if I can get a good picture, right there. So, and that has to come off right there. So we'll see. Okay, so after you get to that bolt there and you get that out and you pull out this part here, this is the part at the end of the seat belt. Let's see if I can get this to focus. End of the seat belt that comes out. So that bolt runs right through that hole there in the middle. So after you get that out, you can kind of pull this to one side so you can access this Allen right up here. I'm guessing that's a 8mm Allen again. So we're gonna pull that out, and then the seat belt will be completely removed after that. Okay, so after removing everything I needed to remove, the seat belts, the plastics and everything else in here, I use this template here that comes with the Dragonfire harness to drill these holes out. You line one up with the bottom here. You line up the bottom of the paper with the bottom edge of the plastic and that screw hole right there. Let's see if I can get that to focus, sorry. Okay, there we go. You line it up with that little grommet hole there. And then the top ones are supposed to line up pretty well, but I kind of had to change a little bit of the angle of the drill to make the holes fit. With the template, you can see they were closer together here, and this one is actually a little further that way, so I kind of had to change those holes. I'm gonna, hopefully it'll look a little neater on the other side. I'm gonna try and adjust for that, but we will see. So this is the passenger side. Now on the other side, you got to flip this over and do the holes. I've already marked my holes over there, you can see on the back. I'm gonna go drill those out and we'll see how that looks. Okay, so if you can see these up here, I've got this all lined up with the holes that I drilled inside. This kind of has to sit up here. I don't know if I can get my camera up there to no, I can't, but maybe from this direction. Yeah, so you can see those 3 threaded holes there and the 3 there. So you've got 6 8mm. Is it 8mm? No, it's not. I don't remember what size Allen I used. What size Allen is that? It says 5/32 Allen. I don't know if that's exactly right size, but it works really well for me. So anyways, you've got these up here, and that's all lined up in the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these little guys here. These little guys here. And there's 6 of them. So I'm using a ratchet with an extension on it, because if you try to do it by hand, actually the little Allen wrenches, you know, if you've got an L-shaped Allen wrench, it won't actually fit up there. It gets stuck on one of the other bars. And then they recommend that you put 1 drop of blue Loctite on there, so I've got the medium strength blue Loctite. So I'm going to start doing that now. Okay, so this, I'm just going to show you kind of an example of what I'm doing here. You have to actually get up right in here, and I'm just using the extension right now kind of as a, without the ratchet, just to get these in up here. So you can see, just go in just like that. I got the 3 outside ones in, and I'm just doing them kind of finger tight right now till I can get them tight enough to just be sitting in there, and then I'll tighten them with the ratchet. Okay, so just showing this installed down here. So we've got the inside here. We did have to cut out a small piece right here for the bolt to fit, otherwise the bolt's too long right there. And I do have the extender down there. You can see the extender. It bolts on with the original bolt for the seatbelt hardware, and then it comes up, and you actually want it to curve back and away from the seat a little bit. You'll see a curve when you're installing it there for that little extender. And then you put the actual seatbelt harness on the side here, and you've got that there. You can get a good picture of that there. It's kind of hard. And then comes around to this side. So that's what that inside of this is, the passenger inside seatbelt harness attachment. And then over here, if you're looking at the outside, you use the bolts that they came with. Here it comes with lock nuts, I guess, and then there's the inside there. So that side's done as far as the belting in down here. Now these, you're supposed to actually keep these nice and loose until you get some of the other parts installed, and you try in the seat and everything, and then those straps run up here and they wrap around the bar. We actually have done the pass-throughs in our seats, so we have to undo all of this, pass them through the seats, and then put them back through here and tighten down the bolts. So it's a little bit more of a chore, but we'll show step by step what we're doing. We're cutting the plastics right now, because you do have to cut the plastics to go around, again, both that bolt and around this black part for the harness here. That black where the strap attaches to, it does not fit with the factory plastic, so you have to trim around that, and I'll show after we've trimmed, I'll show what it looks like after I install those again.
Alright, so I've got 2 pairs of the pass-through brackets for the Dragonfire harness. We've got the Dragonfire harness here. Twinkles is doing a little research on how to pull the seats out. She's already got the seats out of it, and we've got her little shop helper here supervising, and got the bottom seats out over here and the top seat out over here, and I'm getting ready to cut holes in our brand new seats, which is a little iffy, but you know, they aren't really good the way that they come from the factory. The seat belts, well, the factory seat belts are junk, and then if you try and mount Dragonfire, they go around the headrest. So what I've seen guys do is to cut some holes in the headrest and mount the pass-through brackets like I just showed you guys. So that's what I'm doing over here. What I've done so far is I've got the ruler lined up perfectly with that seam right there. So I'm just lining up my ruler with that seam like that, and we already kind of sat in it and made sure it was going to work for both of us. I'm about 6'2", She's shorter than that. She's about 5.5 feet tall. So we're trying to make it work for both of us, where we'll be both reasonably comfortable. And so this is where we came up with. I tend to slouch a little bit. She sits up pretty straight, so it should work out pretty good. I sit with the seat all the way back. She has it forward a couple clicks. So I just took a Sharpie and I've been laying out where the bracket holes are going to go, and I've decided that the corners, I think the perfect spot for the corners is going to be right here where this square kind of meets that seam. So I've got this ruler lined up perfectly with that seam, and then I'm going to have this corner perfectly on the edge of that seam, and then the bezel will go around the outside. So that should give us enough gap where it's not choking our throat, squeezing our necks, too close together, but we don't want to take off too much of the seat to where the headrest isn't nice and rigid. So this is kind of a compromise. It should be high enough up to where it's comfortable for both of us, not too far apart, not too close together. And yeah, so I just got my holes all laid out. Now I'm going to get a drill and I'm going to drill out the corners, and then I'm going to cut out the hole.
Okay, so just to show you what we actually did for the stock seat belt, the driver's seat belt, because it has this basically this wire that runs to it that doesn't allow the Yxz to start if you don't have your driver's seat belt clicked or locked in. We pretty much just cut off the end of it, twisted them together, and then used some heat shrink over it to keep it pretty waterproof. It used to be down here in that little ring attachment, but because it was kind of hard to reach and work on, I just pulled it through and left it over here on the inside, and it's just gonna hang down there.
Alright, I got both holes cut out nice and even. Should be able to drill the back and then cut the plastic out of the back. Pretty happy with how even those came out. They look nice and straight. Got one more seat to do after that, obviously. 2 seats. Twinkles is over here. Got the commotion going on in this. What's going on over here, Twinkles?
Twinkles is a little confused right now.
Yeah, so Twinkles is doing her own thing. She's got her video footage rolling on her cell phone, and she's currently tearing the cab apart.
I'm kind of cussing
and
right now.
calling it all kinds of names. Have you come up with a nickname for it yet that isn't like
Not quite sure.
explicit?
No, not yet.
No, no.
But you know,
Okay.
we're all pretty explicit right now.
All right, so she's tearing the cab apart. There's some things we got to do to mount
There
the
we
brackets.
go. All right.
Oh, I just get brutal with it.
You had to.
Hey, look at that. There's the transmission.
There we go.
Well, it sure doesn't have very far to go from the shifter to the trans, does it?
No,
Just right there.
right on top there.
Yeah. exploring. All right, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Back over to my mess here. And I'll go back to my seats. So yeah, I'm gonna give you a close up while I got the camera off the tripod here. Boxer? Boxer dog? Yeah, so I got these cut out, and like I was saying, I left a little bit of extra padding just to make sure you didn't take too much off, and get them lined up straight as you can. Use a really sharp razor blade, and I had the corners of my holes right there where the seam meets the hole there. So we got that. Now we're going to drill some holes and cut out the back.
Yamaha came up with a really interesting, I don't know about this dealie here. So it's like a screw that goes inside looks like one of those drywall screws almost. I'm not sure how to feel about that. All right, so get the seatbelt off now. Try to get the seatbelt off. And that's a giant hole. I don't know what that is. Okay, yeah, so we're gonna get to that. Underneath the passenger seat. Nice. Okay. So we'll see that in the next episode. We're in the center.
Want to drill a pilot first, or you got it?
I made a notch with the knife. It's almost. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. The drill. There we go. So,
Perfect.
at the end you just want to pull it back, otherwise it's going to suck it in there.
This is the passenger side, and you can see where she's already cut out a little bit here. I'm going to just cut out a little bit more and basically make that a perfect little arc there. And then over here on the passenger side, we have to extend. You can see where she kind of cut in a little bit there. We're going to extend that up just a little bit more to make room for the new harness as well. So this is the passenger side floor panel piece that we're trimming on.
Here, and there's 6 of them. So I'm using a ratchet with an extension.
Alright, so you can see where I trimmed it there. Just trimmed it back. So there'd be plenty of room for the strap on that side. Passenger seat. And the other side of the passenger seat where I trimmed it. And I just took a lighter and kind of melted the edge so it wouldn't be sharp at all. And so that's the passenger side. Twinkles is putting all our fenders and stuff back on right now. I extended this hole out, did the same thing, kind of melted the edge so it wouldn't be sharp. And that's on the driver's side. And then on the inside of the driver's side, I just cut it with a razor, real sharp razor knife, and be real careful as you go along. And same thing, I just melted the inside so it'd be all nice and smooth. So inside of the driver's side, outside of the driver's side, and then the holes I already showed you for the passenger side that Twinkles is putting back together right now. Alright, we got seat number 1 is done. And I got the holes cut. Seat number 2. Just barely squeezes nice and tight through there. Doesn't look pretty without the thing on, but that's why we bought the pass-through couplers. And I think Twinkles is almost ready to go over there. I just have to tell her about this one little boo-boo that she doesn't know about yet, and get her to sew up that before we put it all back together.
Okay, here we go. I'm gonna try and fit the seat back in here. Passenger side seat. Trying to get that out of there. It's kind of tough, so putting it back in, I'm just gonna line it up there. Perfect. Gotta run the harness. There we go. That's good. Perfect. Alright. That's great. So we're going to run the harness through the slots and up to the bar. After we go through these little guys here, kind of run it.
Slide the seat forward.
Run it through everything.
It's hitting the back right now.
Anyways, yeah, we'll show you after we get that in.
Alright, and got it all back together. Fits pretty well too, if I do say so. Pass-throughs all in. There, harnesses in down here, and they seem to fit pretty good. Pretty happy with the way they came out. Hold us over for a while until we can maybe upgrade the seats to something a little bit better. Alright, so here we are. Got the Dragonfire harnesses installed, and you can see Twinkles is putting hers on now. We got the holes cut and the belts mounted. Looks like they came out pretty good. So how it shows how you're putting it on there.
So the lap belt part, you just put that on there. And this comes down and snaps in. There's a tab that has to slide in here. And then you pull the hook through. It snaps down, and then this little Velcro goes right there to hold it in place. And then there's actually adjusters over here, so you can tighten your adjusters down. And then for up here, you just clip this together in the middle here. And then you use these guys and kind of cinch yourself down.
And what did you think of it after riding with it versus without it?
I felt like I was going to stay in.
Is it a lot more comfortable?
Seatbelts were... I'm sorry, Yamaha, but the seatbelts are kind of a joke. We took it for a few rides with just the seatbelts, and I felt like I was going to fly out the whole time. So after having them in, we went on that, we've been on one ride with them, and I feel like I felt so much more secure. I feel like I was falling all over the place. The ride was a lot more comfortable because I wasn't bouncing around quite as much.
It was a lot easier to focus on the ride and not trying to stay in the ride.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't feel like we hit some pretty good sized rocks, and I didn't feel like I was going to, have to worry about bouncing out of the seat. So
the next video I'm going to post will show you guys the first ride we took with the new harnesses on. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend them over the stock seat belts.
Absolutely.
Anything but those. But now we just need to get our new cage.
Yep.
And we'll be ready to tackle some serious trails.
Next on Trail Blogger.